talking money, then you're talking don't matter. Ching, ching, bling, bling, patent pockets. We take the dollar, dollar, can a damn soul stop it. Here comes the new kid on the block. Hold on to that shit's where the buck stops. See, first of all, I'm stepping out on my own. About time I elevate to claim my own throne. Success in my flow.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Steve's Wrestling Ramble. I'm your host, Steve, and with you tonight, Cooter, Angry Cooter. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing wonderful, Cop. Thanks for having me this fine, freezing cold evening.
What were your thoughts on overall on Monday Night Raw and the return of Shane?
I was happy for about 5 minutes until we finally got to the point in that opening segment. And then I literally could have rolled over and went to sleep after that because the last thing I want to see for The Undertaker's last match is a match against Shane O'Mac. All right, as original of an idea it is, we're grasping at straws, my dude. No, thank you. Thanks, but no thanks.
I was surprised that they decided to go that way. I know a lot of people already have been rumoring and thinking that maybe he's just a placeholder. Maybe Cena is going to come back and defy science, and he'll be taking Shane's spot to face The Undertaker to represent Shane McMahon and to have Shane to get ownership because Cena being the ultimate babyface, not liking the Authority, being dicked around by the Authority in storylines, you would maybe that's the way they go. Do you think that they're maybe doing that, or do you think they're going to go with Undertaker versus Shane?
I don't want to be one of these fantasy booking marks because that's all the groups have said. Listen, at the end of the day, Vince said Shane's got to do it by himself if he wants control of Raw. The only thing that I can really think of, which might make it interesting, is Shane and Kane have a little bit of a history together. So if we're going to do a Hell in a Cell and we're going to have a limited Shane McMahon and a limited Undertaker, let's throw Kane into the mix if we're going to bring John Cena into this. That's not what I think is going to happen. That is personally what I would like to see happen. One more match for the Undertaker with a little bit of surrounding cast to keep him going. I mean, he's no spring chicken anymore.
And the other big news, or at least to me, is the setup for Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose. It's going to be a knockout drag out street fight at WrestleMania. What are your thoughts on that?
Uh, mm, you know, at least we're not seeing Brock versus Wyatt. The only problem with this is now we have a pointless beatdown of Lesnar at the Royal Rumble with the whole Wyatt family. Wasted booking, a wasted opportunity, but at the end of the day, I'm thankful for it because I think these two can have an incredible match. We know Dean can take a beating. We know he can sell, and when you face somebody like Lesnar, you don't have to sell all that much because, believe me, Dean Ambrose is going to take a serious beating, and I'm going to enjoy every second of it. I love Dean Ambrose, but I love Brock Lesnar that much more. I want to see uh, the most amount of suplexes in a match that I think we've ever seen. I want to see suplexes through tables, off the stage. I want to see an F5 off the rafters. I want to see it all. And I know that Dean can take it. At the end of the day, this is probably the second to best David versus Goliath that we could ever get with Brock Lesnar. I mean, a lot of people were talking, we'd love to see Daniel Bryan and Lesnar for the old David versus Goliath type of thing. But next best thing, Dean Ambrose. Let's get fucking crazy. That's what I'm saying.
I know people were worried about it because it's going to be two faces going up against each other. I know, at least from the group, facebook.com/group/pro wrestling marks, where people were talking about that, having Dean Ambrose facing off against Brock Lesnar, that's stupid to them because you're having two faces. Dean should have turned already by now and stuff like that. But my thinking is that it's just to try to build up Dean more and have a credible, really credible win against the beast Brock Lesnar. You're still going to get that ass kicking. You're still going to get those suplexes, probably tenfold. at WrestleMania for the Brock Lesnar fans, but in the end, Dean will be getting the win by hell and high water. So that'll help him, and then moving forward, he'll be, you know, feuding with the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion Roman Reigns. Then we get, then he would lose there. Then we get to Money in the Bank. Maybe he's in the Money in the Bank briefcase ladder match. He wins the briefcase. Seth Rollins comes back, picks a fight with Roman Reigns because he never lost his championship, and then Dean maybe cashes in at SummerSlam. I can see that already forward thinking all the way to SummerSlam, and Dean Ambrose defeating a superstar and a talent and a fan favorite just as much as himself is, like Brock Lesnar, is the catalyst to start that whole my forward booking in motion.
You
I
know what I
just
like about this more than anything, Cop?
hmm,
It's the WrestleMania booking where we don't have to have the traditional face versus heel whole thing. It's tired, it's boring. And WrestleMania season, we get to see the face versus the face, the heel versus the heel. I mean, Hogan versus Warrior for the title, WrestleMania 6. We had face versus an obvious face. Same with Cena versus The Rock. I mean, it's a different season, it's a different style show. It goes against everything that we are forced to have crammed down our throats throughout the rest of the year. So, you know, people need to stop getting bent out of shape over this whole, oh, they're both faces, they're both heels. Shut up and enjoy the effing show for real. It's a soap opera. This is what we are talking about. A glorified soap opera with some incredible action. Do we need to have the same old same? People need to just stop bitching and enjoy it.
I know they were took, or at least a rumor out there in the past, whether it was a year ago or so, about Vince McMahon wanting to get away with away from these heel and faces having to have it that way. Just have superstars against each other and starting having feuds or whatnot. You can have two faces like Lesnar and Ambrose. The way that they told that story of having them going off against each other. Dean Ambrose being that lunatic fringe, never giving up kind of thing. And we kind of should have seen this coming in a way, and how the interaction was between Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose leading up to the triple threat number one contender match. That maybe they might go that way and go away from the Wyatt family, because maybe they within WWE, like the marks and fans outside, thought that maybe it's not the best bet to have the Wyatts facing, or any of the Wyatts, whether it's just going to be one-on-one Bray, was it going to be Bray versus Brock, or Braun versus Brock? That might not be best. So then they move forward with how they booked WWE Fastlane, the Wyatts losing to the Titans of WWE, Ryback, Big Show, and Kane. Um,
Well, we've seen this, face versus face, recently. I mean, Jericho and AJ Styles, classic example, very nicely done. I mean, I don't need to see. I mean, I'd like to see Jericho as the heel that he portrayed, especially when he had that one return. He was feuding with Shawn Michaels. I mean, that was probably some of his best mic work, some of his best in ring stuff. But I mean, face versus face thing is cool. And as for this Titans versus the Wyatts. Why? What? Who got over? Who? I mean, the only person who seems to have benefited from this whole thing is Ryback. I mean, let's be honest. The way he walked away from that whole match on Monday Night Raw after winning the victory, the night before. I got to stand and do things on my own. I have a feeling he's going to feud with somebody from that team at WrestleMania, and why not? It's very easy to turn Big Show heel. I mean, he said it himself. He's had more turns than a NASCAR driver. Let's be honest here.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That Ryback was the only one to actually benefit from that. And I have a feeling maybe he'll be put in a feud, because I don't think Kevin Owens yet has a opponent for WrestleMania.
Was he on
AJ.
Raw? Did I miss him on Raw, Cop?
No, sir, he was not on Raw at all.
Wow.
So maybe they're just holding that off, and they're gonna have a Ryback versus KO against KO at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship.
Ugh, no Kevin Owens, but thank God we had the Social Outcasts. Great job, guys. Cool, dude. Great job.
Almost
Loved
as almost as good. Well, then again, then you had that sticker of a segment with Goldust and R-Truth
it. Ugh.
yet again.
Yeah, we needed to see that instead of Kevin Owens dropping somebody with a pop-up power bomb. Really? I mean, does anybody give a shit about Goldust and R-Truth? I mean, it's Booker T 2.0. You know, I'm getting flashbacks of Goldust getting electrocuted and stuttering and doing a like like stop it. No, we've seen this, and why does Goldust always have to do this with a black dude? Somebody explain this to me. Next thing you know, it's gonna be he's gonna be doing it with a New Day, and then maybe
Or
Mark
Apollo,
Henry
or Apollo
retires.
Crews when he comes in the main roster.
Oh, now you're now see you just got yourself a job with Vince as a great booker cop. Great thinking.
I mean, why the hell not? I guess that's what he's there for now. Uh, but yeah, I think those would be the main highlights from Monday Night Raw. Anything else from Raw you want to touch upon?
Um, I'm
Maybe the
trying
Triple H
to
beatdown.
remember what happened in terms of the Divas. I mean, I know we had a one-on-one with was that Naomi and Sasha?
Yeah, Banks and
Yeah,
Naomi.
they're progressing that storyline, nicely because now we're gonna have Becky versus Sasha. Winner gets Charlotte at Mania, but I think we're in store for a triple threat match, which would be cool. I mean, we've seen the. I remember. I think it was an NXT show. We had Sasha, Charlotte, Becky, and Bailey in a fatal four-way. So I mean, to see these three in a triple threat at Mania would be pretty cool. But I'd still be happy with a straight up Sasha versus Charlotte, even though I've seen it a million times. But my question to you is: we're finally, after God knows how many years, I can't remember the last time the belt was defended at WrestleMania. Do we think they're actually going to give these girls a good amount of time, or is this going to be the 10-minute piss break match?
I think with the superstars or the women wrestlers that they're dealing with now, the cream of the crop, the future of women's wrestling in WWE, I think they definitely will want to give them more time. Now, I'm not saying like 30 minutes or so, but maybe 15, 20 minutes, and you can put a good match, especially if it is a triple threat match. I think it'd be even better if it was a fatal four way, but Bailey isn't on the main roster yet, so that's not going to happen.
True.
But because for me, and just for me for WrestleMania, I'd rather see either fatal four ways or one-on-one matches for titles, whether it's the WWE World Title or whatever title. But if it does, go into fruition and it does happen and it is triple threat, I think they will give them at least 15 minutes, and it won't be a 5-10 minute snoozer. Because if it is, then that's kind of going to piss me off because you're saying and touting with this Divas Revolution, this is a real thing. We're really going to be pushing these women to the moon and showing actual wrestling and women that can do it and best of the best in the world and all that other stuff. And then you do that on the grandest stage to those women. I think that would just be wrong, disrespectful, and all those things. I think they definitely aren't that dumb, and they're gonna
No,
at least give them 15, 20 minutes and have a good show for the fans.
did I just hear Cop say he wants more women wrestling? I think Cologne was right about you, my friend. You are the master. I'm not going to call you the name, but you are the master.
I don't know about that, but I don't know. I just think that would be not to be lame, but best for business for WWE to do that. It wouldn't be right to build it up and tout it up, and especially these specific women, Charlotte, Sasha, and Becky, and just have it quick match and move on to the next thing. No, that's I wouldn't have any of that. I would be the one on my next episode after WrestleMania for my review being the one starting off with a rant if that happened.
you know, uh, let's throw one more thing out here. Godfather being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Now I saw, I think it was China. So responding to a tweet from a fan that so a pimp can be inducted in a Hall of Fame with all his hoes, but China can't. Thoughts, my friend? Thoughts?
Yeah, I saw that on the Marks page. That tweet from China. I mean, okay, whatever. Still not going to help you get in there, and if you don't want to get in there, then that's your own accord and thinking. I mean, okay, whatever. Godfather's going in. Um, it seems like the Hall of Fame. I'm not going to say they're not. So I know there's some people out there, like one of my former friends from another wrestling podcast, not another wrestling podcast, but a different wrestling podcast
Right.
out there that thinks that the WWE Hall of Fame is a bunch of crap and that they're just going to let everybody in there. But I think, in regards to The Godfather, I think he definitely is deserving of there. Just like how I personally want Gangrel at some point to go into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot of enhancement guys who, and a lot of big name guys who should be put in. I mean, we still don't have Rick Rude, which is crazy to me. We have Kerry Von Erich, the whole Von Erich family in there, but no Rick Rude. And I mean, there's a hell of a lot of other guys who have slipped my mind, still not in it. I mean, whew, it's boggling. I mean, I got a feeling we're going to see guys like Christian in one day, but Gangrel was one that just you said it. I'm shocked. I'm not that he was the greatest worker, but I mean he had some great moments on TV. I mean, real talk.
And if it
Let's
wasn't
be
for
honest.
him, Edge and Christian, I don't know. I mean, maybe they would be where they are, but he definitely started their careers with being part of the
Oh, the
Brood.
Brood, of course.
So
Well, it is what it is. Maybe one day.
maybe.
Other notables who you think should be in.
um, well, if you want to think of a group or a tag team, I would probably go with the APA or Degeneration X
Hmm.
to get in. I mean, you already have JBL still on the payroll, and you just had his amigo Ron Simmons with him on JBL's show on the WWE Network in an interview. So you can tie that all in and have him going into the WWE Hall of Fame. I'm wondering, and maybe you can help me out with this one. Why uh, Dwayne the Rock Johnson hasn't been inducted since he retired? Sometimes I look on YouTube, think I missed a year, and he was, but he wasn't. And I wonder, are they waiting for a right moment to put him as, bill him as the number one, or why have they been waiting for so many years to put him in?
I think we're probably going to see him in one more match. I really feel that way. I mean, definitely not this year. Maybe next year, depending scheduling. But oh, it's going to happen. Let's. I agree with you. I think they're just waiting for the right time. But you know what? Another notable just came to mind.
Hmm.
X Pac is not in the Hall of Fame. Interesting. The rest of the clique, besides Triple H, still active, champ right now, but no X Pac. Here's another notable, Ken Shamrock. Now I understand he's still fighting. He's under contract with Bellator. Why is he not in the Hall of Fame? Big Boss Man, I believe, is not in the Hall of Fame. Jacques Rougeau, also known as the Mountie, not in the Hall of Fame. Owen Hart, we all know why,
Mm-hmm.
in the Hall of Fame. Jeff Jarrett will never be put in the Hall of Fame, but he's damn
Say that.
well should be. Do not care. The Double J character, I grew up watching him. I remember him versus Shawn Michaels. I remember the tag team with Owen. Slapnuts is not in the Hall of Fame. Somebody explain to me why.
I think for Jeff Jarrett, I think that's maybe a Vince McMahon vendetta thing against the Jarrett family and like maybe against Jeff himself. I don't know. Who knows? You never know with the McMahon family. Any little thing can be something that you hold forever against a person or entity.
How about this? I'm gonna make you take a pick. We're gonna place a gentleman's bet right now.
Okay.
Three CW notables who are not in the Hall of Fame yet. Okay? Well, I was going to go Raven, Tommy Dreamer, and I had another one, and I just can't think of it. Oh my God, it's going to drive me nuts. Taz, Shane Douglas. Which one of those four will be inducted first? Bam Bam Bigelow is not in the Hall of Fame, I don't believe. But Taz, Raven, Shane Douglas, and who was my fourth? Tommy Dreamer. Sandman is not in the Hall of Fame, should be. But out of those five now, all right. So I went from 3 to 5. We got Raven, Sandman, Taz, Shane Douglas,
And Tommy Dreamer.
and Tommy Dreamer. RVD, 6. My list keeps getting
Keeps
bigger.
growing and growing and growing.
Pick one.
If I had to pick one, probably the most likely to be the first one to pick out of those six probably would be Tommy Dreamer. I think he would be the first one picked out because they were using him anyways. And he came back with the Dudley Boys. And then after that, maybe Taz, and Raven, and then the other Sandman and whoever else. But I would
Raven?
say first one would be Tommy Dreamer.
I'll agree with that, but I think Raven is just as deserving as Tommy is.
Well, they're all deserving. Yeah.
I can't believe this. There's still a Christmas wreath on my front door.
I know. I see that. It looks very nice.
I'm festive still in February, baby.
You don't. A person never has to lose that Christmas spirit, I guess.
uh,
But anyways, actually something that I forgot to bring up in part of the episode, WWE Fastlane, that pay-per-view thing that they had on Sunday, uh,
mm,
that shit shamble of a show, but it still existed and it still partook. What were your thoughts and things on the whole entire WWE Fastlane and how things turned out?
I love the. I gonna be honest with you. I did tune out from 9 to 10 because I'm a big Walking Dead mark. So I missed the women's championship match. Um, a lot of people are complaining about the triple threat at the end of the show. I didn't mind it so much. I thought they told a good story. I love the spot where Roman was going to go for the Samoan drop on Dean Ambrose, and Brock German suplexed Roman while he had Dean on his shoulders. I mean, usually you see like a, what do they call that? Like a Tower of Terror, I guess they call it. But that usually involves like the ropes and a turnbuckle or whatever to balance everybody. But Brock is such an animal. He said the ropes and just threw them both. Incredible. I think the ending was a little shoddy because you don't just beat a man with a chair, and then 5 seconds later get hit with a spear. It just made no sense to me. So I think the finish was pretty shitty, but I still enjoyed the match. And thank God I picked Roman Reigns because you guys all picked Dean Ambrose, and that kind of put me to the top of the heap in our little prediction battle thing. But more
Yes,
on
sir.
that tomorrow.
Yes, sir. That's really put you in the fast lane to victory,
Correct.
right there. So that was smart, man. I don't know. I just thought that maybe they could have done it. Maybe they could have done this, or maybe they could have done something different. Not always have to be predictable. See what hear the fans, listen to the fans. Now, if the fans were boisterous as they were for Mr. Daniel Bryan, as they were for him, that they should have been for Dean, maybe WWE might have thought about it. At least thought about it. But they already did what they did with Triple H way back when it was Survivor, or 2 months ago with Survivor Series, then having a Royal Rumble, Triple H eliminating Roman Reigns, then beating Dean Ambrose and winning the Royal Rumble match, becoming champion. So the stage was set to have Triple H, Roman Reigns, but they could have threw us a bone, threw us a swerve and have Dean Ambrose go on to WrestleMania, but it was not meant to be. But still, I think it was a good match too. Uh, kind of a sloppy finish in a way because Dean Ambrose hit Reigns like at least 4 to 6 times with that chair, and it's like he just popped out like he didn't get hit at all, sort of thing. So that believability really wasn't there for me. Um, Maybe they could have had a different ending where it might have been better for me to take. I don't know. But they'll have Roman Reigns being the winner and going on to face Triple H, because now they run into the problem, with everything that happened on Raw after the Triple H beatdown, and him, standing there, with the title, and him getting the ovation, and Roman getting booed as Triple H getting. I think that they're a place for Reigns when we get to WrestleMania and he Ultimate Team wins the title. They're really gonna have to work hard in these next 5 weeks to try to get to that point, because Triple H is now loved, but beloved. So we'll see how that goes. I the Divas match could have been better. I mean, it just seemed kind of sloppy. Charlotte had to stop a couple of times for Brie, or slow down, especially that one time when she was running to the turnbuckle. She had to stop and then go again, kind of thing. So it looked kind of really, really sloppy. Could have been better. That's why when we get to WrestleMania and we have, whether it's a three-way or just one-on-one, it's going to be a lot better, because you have Charlotte, Sasha Banks, and Becky Lynch in there, or a combination of them. There at WrestleMania, that match will go much smoother, and I think it will be a lot better. Plus, then after WrestleMania, maybe then Brie will retire. So I thought almost Fastlane was okay, highly predictable. Good thing there were a little bit differences in our prediction battle for main event marks. To have a winner there at the top, or winners at the top, for that. But I don't know. Beyond that, beyond the prediction battle stuff, WWE Fastlane wasn't wasn't as well as I thought they could have made it. I mean, they were toting, saying that they're going to try to make Fastlane better on a show, and being that since it's wedged between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, but not this year, maybe next.
You know what drives me nuts
Hmm.
is Marks complaining about how Brock Lesnar is being booked lately. He went from the unstoppable monster, blah blah blah. Now he's doing jobs. Like, you can't win all the time, especially when you're trying to push other guys. And it's not as if he's taking the fall in these matches. I mean, he wasn't involved in the finish, in terms of the decision. He's not doing the job, you know. If it wasn't for Brock Lesnar, that match would have been the shits. I mean, Dean Ambrose can only make Roman look so good, and I think only in small bursts. All right, let's do this spot. Boom, 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 boom. We can carry on for 2 minutes, and then Brock comes back in. I mean, Brock, as limited as he is, he doesn't have to do much because he's such a powerhouse. I mean, just the stuff that he's able to do. I mean, when he caught Dean Ambrose in a belly to belly, when he dove through the ropes and caught him like a bear and just smiled and just belly to belly suplexed him overhead to the floor, I'm like, what are you guys complaining about? He is a monster. He's being booked as a monster. Why? Because he's not winning the belt every goddamn night. Why? Because it took 3 to 4 guys to throw him out of the ring in the Rumble. Yeah, they're making him look like such a bitch. Really? You fucking marks drive me crazy. This is why, like, for the most part, I stay away from dirt sheets now. I don't go to the dirt sheets at all anymore.
Okay.
I've gotten to a point where I'm tired of the spoilers and the guess who's coming back rumors and all that shit. And then that's why I stay out of the groups, because people's opinions lately have just been so asinine. And you know it's funny coming from somebody like me who is so opinionated, but I don't feel that I'm on the same level where I'm pissing and moaning about things that are not so. It's Mine is purely opinion, whereas if you're going to sit there and say as a fact that someone like Brock is being booked as a bitch, then you're obviously not watching close enough. And maybe, just maybe, you need to get off of mommy and daddy's couch and do something with your life.
I think it's not only that they're not um, watching or seeing exactly what's going on with Brock, but they're not understanding Brock's role, what Brock's role in that match was in the triple threat match. To be still that monster, and man, they did the whole Shield power bomb onto two announce tables. Should have done three, but whatever, two. And he got back up and was in the match, and he was kicking ass, taking names, sort of thing. And yeah, and he wasn't part of the finish either. He didn't have to do the job. He was doing his job as being the Beast, and he was doing it well. And then now we're gonna have him one on one with Dean at WrestleMania, and even if he loses, he's doing something for Dean. He already had his moment at WrestleMania by taking the Undertaker's streak, and the Undertaker viciously wanted him to be the one to break it. So, things happen. Like you said, he's not going to win everything. He's not going to be winning the title always. You just got, and that's really for any superstar, even my superstar, my current fan favorite, Dean Ambrose. He's not going to win every match, but he's going to have his purpose and his reasoning, and he's still going to be at the top of the card, top of the bill, part of the main event scene. Hashtag main event player.
Yeah,
So,
guys got to realize that this business moves in cycles. You know, I mean, I remember a time where Dean Ambrose jobbed to Bray Wyatt in three big name matches, three straight, I believe it was. So I mean, you can't have the same guy on top. You got to shake it up a little bit. But you know what I love probably more than anything in that match is Paul Heyman outside the ring. Because there's a point where I don't know if it was a German suplex or something, and Dean landed right by the apron, or maybe it was Roman. It was one of whoever it was, but you just see this shit-eating grin on Heyman's face, and he's just like, "Yeah, that hurts, doesn't it? Hurts, doesn't it?" I'm just sitting there laughing my ass off. My girlfriend's like, "What the fuck is so funny?" Because she's not watching, and I'm just dying because his facial expressions and his social commentary are just they just make the story better for me. They make Brock he validates Brock Lesnar. It's not like Brock really needs him, but he just makes everything that he does better.
kind of like his facial expression or whatever went during the segment with Dean Ambrose on Monday Night Raw a little bit. Not to the same extent as during the match at Fastlane, but a little bit there at the end after Brock Lesnar gave Dean the F5, and then Heyman got on the mic to accept the challenge, sort of thing. But I think that's why it's also nice to see Shane McMahon back because he's pretty good in or he's okay in the mic and everything. And it was a nice big surprise, a true real surprise. I didn't see it coming. I thought, kind of like people in the March group thought that and I know one of them were counting down, thinking it was going to be Roman Reigns music to hit, because when she opened that book or whatever it was to say something, at first I was thinking, okay, this is where it's going to happen because there's great shit written on that thing, so on that paper, so there's somebody's going to come out, and I thought it'd be either The Rock or Roman Reigns out or something. But I also found it interesting that Triple H wasn't part of that segment at all. It
Well,
just
the thing with that is, I mean, he's involved in a completely different storyline, and it's good to see Stephanie, in something on her own, because I'm sure she's going to be involved with this in some way, shape, or form. Because you got to also remember, while Hunter is, fighting for the title, I mean, her and Vince are basically fighting for their position, as the leaders of Raw. So, I mean, they're fighting two different battles on two different fronts, and both of their I don't want to say legacies are at stake, but their positions are at stake. So I mean, it's it's a nice little contrast. I mean, we've seen the whole Shane versus Vince thing before. I mean, that culminated in one hell of a match at WrestleMania. Yeah, not so much, but whatever. It's I hate to say that's something that I've seen before, but at least we have some different players in it this time around.
I guess I was
But
asking.
let's just say this: if I see Linda McMahon involved in this storyline somehow, I'm gonna like jump off of a bridge. Real talk. That woman is the worst at everything. She can't talk, and she took the worst stunner in the history of the goddamn. So stay the fuck away from the ring, please, Linda.
I was gonna ask you how long do you think then they're gonna have Shane for this storyline? Is it just gonna go to WrestleMania? Is he actually going to win and get this quote unquote creative control of Raw? Is he, are they going to actually build this storyline bigger and longer, and then have him with that, and maybe for himself coming into SummerSlam, with a confrontation with Triple H, which by that time, won't be champion. Maybe he will be here for at least a longer amount of period of time than most think.
How about this? Again, I don't want to be that guy, but if Shane doesn't get control of Raw, or if he does get control of Raw, either way, I have a feeling personally we might be in store for a bit of a brand split. So, you know, if he doesn't win Raw, I could see him saying, "All right, well then give me SmackDown," and they do a brand split, a la Vince versus Ric Flair back in the day, where they did that brand split, and let Shane compete against Raw, or if he wins Raw, let Hunter take control of SmackDown, and then he can bring up some NXT guys and really build them. Let somebody else book that secondary show, and then you know I think ratings on both shows might increase because a lot of guys just seem to get lost in the shuffle, and I think it's time. I mean, we have depth on that roster now. We can get away with this.
Yeah, I definitely, I know I've been talking about it in the past, whether on my own show or Main Event Marks, that definitely will want to see the brand split after WrestleMania 32, whether they're Raw after or however, and then you can have Stephanie McMahon for SmackDown probably, Shane McMahon for Raw, Triple H having NXT because that's what he has in real life, control of NXT and other things, moving forward. And then you can really have, you can bring back the WWE. You have the WWE Championship, bring back the World Title. You have this cruiserweight tournament thing. If it actually culminates into someone becoming a cruiserweight champion, that can go to SmackDown and IC title on Raw and everything like that, and just have a brand split and have something like that to shake up WWE to make things a little bit different and have maybe things better. I think I would definitely want to see that when we get
Here's
past
a question,
WrestleMania.
seriously. Like, if we were, hypothetically speaking, to see a brand split, do we need to have two separate belts again, like a WWE title and a World Heavyweight title, or can we just maybe have one of the secondary titles be built up to be that? I mean, I hate seeing two guys competing to be that top guy. And then, once in a lifetime, every 7 or 8 years, when the roster sucks balls again, we have to put them back together. And then, I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think you have to have the world title back, but I think for me personally, I think I would just want to see it that way. Then you have your top guy on Raw and top guy on SmackDown. Not that I'm opposed to maybe having the United States Championship, a championship that really needs to be built up more than the IC right now, because you have Kevin Owens with the IC, and hopefully he'll have a whatever reign with that. And you could have great feuds there integrated with him, whether it's AJ Styles or Sami Zayn in the future. But no, I think I would want to see the world title, but it's one of those I would want to, but I don't have to sort of situations. Um, but I just think with a brand split, I think also comes that. But but we'll see if it actually happens at all.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Would there be any other titles or like titles like maybe the cruiserweight title in itself, but other titles that you think maybe they should come back with, or are they just okay with what they have and try to just build what they have?
You know, I think personally for me, the fact that we have two secondary tier titles really sucks. To have an IC title and a US title on the same show uh, really sucks. Um, the one thing that I really did love about WCW back in the day was the television title because it was defended every time there was a television show. It was defended weekly on Nitro, kind of like how Cena was, doing it with the U.S. title with the U.S. Open Challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or if we have, I don't know, I was gonna say like an internet title, but we don't have enough. Not that we don't have enough, but we don't have any shows that people are really watching outside of pay-per-views or excuse me, or NXT shows. I mean, nobody watches Superstars or Main Event or any of that shit. So I mean, there's really no point. But if we were to get rid of one of those secondary tier titles, which would be a shame because they both have such great lineage, but that's one title I would love to see, or at least see those titles defended on a regular basis. Because I mean, Del Rio went how long after winning the U.S. title before he actually defended the goddamn thing? It's frustrating because you're so used to seeing a title match every week, and those were some of the best matches of the year. I mean,
Yeah.
again, it's Super Cena, but I mean, guys were making him look good. There's a fresh crop of talent out there, and you know, granted they were doing the jobs and getting shit on by Super Cena, but you know what? Didn't make those matches any less entertaining. At the end of the day, we can piss and moan about who's stepping on whose throat and who has the goddamn belt, but let's be honest, those matches were the shit, and even I can't hate on John Cena, even though I hate on John Cena.
But yeah, but no, but no, that's pretty much it for Fastlane and Raw. Not much else really going on with news. Just the only news being of Wade Barrett going to be leaving WWE, and now I made my feelings known about that last week on Main Event Marks on that episode last Wednesday. So check it out, youtube.com/Main Event Marks to hear that. I guess just in a nutshell, just that I think that they WWE did not use him properly, and I wish him well. And whatever he does after his time in WWE, and hopefully he goes to a different promotion, any promotion, that at some point soon and quick and fast, he deserves to be a champion because he does deserve to be number one in the company. And I think in WWE he was supposed to and should have been that when he was the leader of the Nexus. I think that above any other time in his career in WWE was the best shot for him to be champion. But
The guy is
what I
just
know, WWE wanted to
injury
do what he
prone.
did. He
That's
got injured,
the
and
problem. That's my knock on him. You know, he's had some shitty gimmicks. He's had some great gimmicks, but let's be honest. The dude, has been injured more times than Cologne's been in bed with chicks. I'm just saying. It's a fact. You know, the guy gets hurt every other week, and just when you see him, I mean, he was still injured when he started that bad news Barrett gimmick. And he was coming out every week and cutting a promo, and that was all cool. But again, talk is cheap. Get in the ring and back that shit up. And the second he did, he got fucking hurt again because he sucks. You know, he stinks. He can't get enough traction to stay on top. So that's why I think they're so hesitant on putting a major title on him. Was guy was always getting hurt. We have enough problems with that going on now. Your top guy Daniel Bryan, you know, has to retire because of all the concussions. A guy like Seth Rollins on top has to drop the belt, a la Shawn Michaels, because he hurt his knee. And you can't put a belt on a guy who's built like a piece of tinfoil. I mean, that's why when you have a belt on somebody like Brock Lesnar, okay, yeah, he's a part-time guy. He's only defending at a major pay-per-views, but you don't have to really worry about Brock getting hurt because he's such a goddamn beast that you got to break through God knows how many different layers of armor to actually hurt the guy. So I mean, you need a durable guy, and Barrett is not that guy.
I think WWE
I
is
think he could hurt himself taking a shit on the toilet.
WWE feels the same thing I think about Dolph Ziggler being injury prone and maybe not wanting to put titles back on him at all moving forward. I mean, I know a couple fans of Dolph Ziggler's that want him to be pushed and think he deserves to be in the world title picture and all that other stuff, but WWE's not going to do it because of well, also him shooting off his mouth and injury prone. So two of those combined just make it a little bit worse for Dolph Ziggler and his situation. So I don't I think maybe at some point he will want to give WWE notice and leave. Maybe, but
I don't think he'd ever do it. It's because we're at a point right now where what are your options? I mean, could he have a great run in, say, Ring of Honor? Sure. We're not going to see Dolph Ziggler and Lucha. I sure as hell hope he doesn't feel the need to ever have to go to TNA. I mean, he'd be a top guy there, but I mean, you know, that's like, me competing in the Special Olympics. I would dominate. But you know what I'm saying?
mhm.
It's, you know, big fish in a small pond syndrome. It, he would not make nearly as much money, and he wouldn't be nearly as famous. He just wouldn't. I mean, at least with WWE, he has the opportunity to maybe, be a top mid card guy. I mean, the guy puts on a hell of a match every week. I mean, the recent program with Kevin Owens was cool. He's starting to get back on my good graces after the whole, Rusev Summer Rae, what's her face, Lana thing. I mean, thank God that was over. But I mean, he's got the opportunity. Who knows? Maybe we'll see him in a featured WWE film. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, because I don't see him winning anything anything of substance anymore for Dolph Ziggler. Not saying he's gonna be 100% jobber, but I just don't see him being on that other end either. Um, moving forward.
As great as he is as a singles, maybe they should try pairing him up with somebody, in a tag team. I don't know. I mean, it might be less exposure for him to get hurt. He could have a decent run as a tag champion with the right partner. I mean, what about a returning Cesaro? Just for the goof. I mean, we all laugh with Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, and that turned out to be one of the best teams. I mean, you have a brute strength guy and a very athletic guy, and you know what? That would be the same thing. Because I mean, just a thought. Just a thought.
I was
I
thinking,
don't want to be like some people. Here I am making fun of people with their, fantasy booking, but here I go. I can't help myself either.
yeah. Well, me either, because I'm gonna do it right now. I think if they change up Tyler Breeze's character more serious, but still, what he is, you can have Tyler Breeze and Dolph Ziggler, because Tyler Breeze, he can go in the ring. He's
Oh,
a good
God.
athlete. His just character needs to be changed a bit, maybe tweak up, and then have those two as a tag team. Maybe you can have
The pretty boys. We'll call them the pretty boys.
yeah.
But we
I'm
just
trying to
stole
think
your
of
girlfriend.
yeah. Jeez. Well, as long as it doesn't turn into like a Billy and Chuck kind of tag team, that's
Oh,
fine.
God. Dude, you just made my butthole pucker up. Ugh. Jesus. No way.
No, no way, Jose. But anyways, that will do it for tonight's episode, talking everything Shane McMahon and all that. Scooter, let everybody know where they can reach you on social media and tomorrow night's episode.
I am a social assassin after all. You can follow me on Twitter at angry_cooter. Follow, let's see, we got main event _marks for our other show there on Twitter. You know, like the show, facebook.com/, main event marks. And we'll be seeing you tomorrow night.
Yeah, and for me, a bit of news for the fans out there. I might be able to have my or in talks. Let's just say right now in talks. I've had my very first interview here for Steve's Wrestling Ramble. Might be happening here. Uh, it's looking like some point we're doing here in WrestleMania. Who knows? But with a indie female superstar wrestler. Um, Obviously, I will let the identity be known when it's finalized, and then promote it through the social media. So definitely, if you want to find that out and find out other information and other um, avenues, you're welcome to follow me on Twitter at WB_podcast. Tonight as well, I'll be talking with the Nevada caucus for the Republican Party at politics_WY. Um, and definitely, like I said, I'll keep people abreast of the situation with with the potential interview as we get closer and closer here on this grand, long, interesting road to WrestleMania. But with that said, hopefully everybody has a great rest of your evening. And I will be back in my next video Thursday evening, probably around 8 p.m. Central, where I will dive in fully into the 2016 presidential election and everything going on there. So with that, take care.